Spark TV.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm very excited to have you on the show. It's
Oh,
you came very highly recommended. So yes, I'm excited to talk to you and share your story.
oh, cool. I hope I can live up to the expectation.
I'm sure you will. So let's start there. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, so my name's Heidi. I have a business called The Lifestyle Edit. We're based in Coogee Beach in Sydney. I have a digital marketing and content agency. So that kind of, all that fluffiness really means that we take care of digital businesses today. So anything a digital business needs to run in the world today, which is very different to what it used to be. It's so things like social media, imagery, content, all the reels and photography, videos, digital ads, strategy, all those things we basically do at the Lifestyle Edit. So, yeah.
How good. I love it. And it's so interesting. You can't, I don't believe, operate a business without any of those things these days.
Not anymore, no. And it's probably, when you look at those future forecasts of jobs that don't exist today that will be big in 5 years or 10 years, never in a million years did I ever think that I would be running my own agency, now.
Yeah.
Like it's just didn't exist for me before.
Yeah, I know. I reflect on that often about time at uni a decade or so ago. And I go, wow, social media didn't even exist back then.
No.
So crazy. And now my entire life revolves around posting reels.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. I'm 50. So when I went to school, we didn't even there was no computers even at high school. We didn't have computers. Computers weren't a thing that existed until much later on. Even I had businesses in my, 30s, and we didn't even need to have a website back then. So 20 years ago, it was very different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an interesting thought. What is your background? So how did you get into digital marketing agency territory?
Good question. I never went to university. I've never really studied. I went to TAFE and I studied floristry for a year, and I became a florist. And I opened my first flower shop when I was 19.
Wow.
Full of, positivity and energy and time and, rose-colored glasses, really. I didn't know what I was doing. I just made it up as I went along. And I bought a little old flower shop in Newtown in Sydney, and I just thought, yeah, I can do this. And then I just did it. And then I just kept doing it. And I learned as, on the run, and I built it up to be quite successful business, and then sold it and did it again. And I just kind of kept doing that until I got to my last one. I had my son when I was 30, and I went back and I started a shop after I had him, after he was a year old, because I felt like I'd still had some unfinished business in the industry. I still wanted to kick a few goals and make sure I'd done everything that I could do in it. And I did that, and that was my last shop in Paddington in Sydney. And once I finished that, I just kind of, ballsy again. I don't know why or how I got it, but I sent an email out to all my contacts that I'd made, and someone at Home Beautiful magazine had replied and said, we're looking for an assistant stylist if you're interested. And I was like, sure, I've got no experience in that, but if you're willing to give me a go, I'll, give it my best shot. And it worked. And then 5 years later, I was a style editor there. And then I finished up there and moved into digital media because I saw a real shift happening in the print media industry, and I just thought there's something in this. There's something in this. So
Yeah, it's certainly not going anywhere anytime.
No, it is not. No, it
So
is.
how did you, I'm just reflecting on your comment, never went to uni and then have taken big ballsy steps like opening retail businesses, then moving into a completely new career, then moving in a completely new direction again, going into digital. Like how have you learnt then if you never went to uni and you keep changing all the time?
Yeah, good question. My son says to me all the time, he uses it against me. See, you didn't go to uni. I'm like, oh.
Damn it. It's important. It's important.
Look, I think it's a different time as well. I think the one thing I do when the way I operate is I educate myself. So I might not have gone to uni and done the time there, but I read and I watch and I observe, and I'm very strategic about, you know, where I've put myself over the years. So, you know, when I wanted to buy a flower shop, I got a job at the flower market because that's where the whole industry went every single day. And so I watched and I learned and I listened, you know, from the people who had gone before me, and I looked at what they did, and then I went, how does that work for me, and what can I do to get where I want to be? So I was always working towards something, even though I didn't really know what it was or how I was going to get there. I knew that I wanted it to be something. So I've just always done that, and I've just always, I guess, taken a little bit of a risk in as far as, you know, putting myself forward for, you know, what I knew my skills could measure up to. So, you know, if I don't know something, I'll educate myself and learn, or I'll get advice, or I surround myself now in my business with extraordinary young women who are completely capable of running the world. We all work together, and, you know, I think eventually you have experience to know that's going to work or that's not going to work, or maybe we should try this, or let's look at it in a different way. You know, you can't ever, as an entrepreneur, not that I call myself that, but as women working for themselves in the world now, you can never, you always have to stick to your instinct and how you do things, but you can never be so stuck in your ways that you never take advice or learnings from people around you and outside of you. It's really important.
Oh, absolutely. And I think just the world changes so quickly now as well. Like you can't sit still, you know, you really do, like you say, have to be learning, connecting with other people.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do like that, you know, trust yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and back yourself, but be open to hearing the signals and incorporating and innovating. Otherwise you do kind of get left behind.
Yeah, because there's always something that we can take from every conversation that we have with someone, and, you know, even someone's lack of seeing something, we can learn from that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, that alone is a lesson in itself, you know. So never stop learning ever, you know. You just got to keep looking for new information, and how can we do this, and why do we want to do this, and what do people need, and how can we meet that, how can we go above and beyond, how can we do it differently than everyone else is doing, you know. So it's important to not sit back too much, like, you know.
Yes.
I'm working from Melbourne at the moment, my team's all in Sydney. I'm not real, like, I'm obviously having little moments of I'm in Melbourne on, that's nice, but you have to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's interesting you say that, you know, what's your perspective on the old hustle culture that we're all saying is cancelled and over, or, you know, do you have a perspective? Because I'm still on the hustle bandwagon. I'm like, so this girl at this event asked me, I went to a business networking event, and, you know, we're all trading stories. It's like, oh yeah, you know, I've run this for 10 years, blah, blah. She's like, when did you feel like, you know, you were totally all over it and everything? I was like, I still don't, like, is that day coming? You know? So that it always interests me, because everyone's like hustle culture is over. And then some people are on the mindset of, well, you really have to hustle in the beginning, but then you can kind of start to, you know, perhaps get a bit of balance going on. But I don't think that's right. What's your thoughts on it?
I'm like, you can sleep when you're dead, guys. Like, seriously.
Yes.
I'm 50. My partner, right, here's an example, guy, 65, launched a tech company in his 60s and like traveling the world, like starting
Wow.
again, because he's just obsessed with business. And, you know, I love balance. Like, I'm a Pisces. So I'm like, you know, I know a lot of people because I get a lot in my day. So I'm up at like 4, I meditate, you know, I put my swimmers on, I go to the beach, I exercise, I run, I swim, I train, I have my coffee, I come back by 7:30, I've done a whole day. Right. So then I start my day with my team. So we've changed a lot of the way we work. And I think you can, you know, I'm old school. So my thinking you know, or, you know, 2 years ago was, you turn up at the office, you do your work, you put in the hard yards, you get shit done, you don't leave until you're done, and then you can go home. And I always manage my team that they always have a balance. I'm probably the one that expects more because that's my personality and what I expect of myself. But also we changed. So we moved our office. We got rid of our massive studio where we were shooting all the time. We got rid of the, you know, the massive space that I was paying crazy amounts of rent to someone else with. We've moved into I have an apartment in Coogee, so we work from there 2 days a week. The girls only come in Mondays and Thursdays now. All the other days they work from home.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have a team meeting today, and I had to just adjust the time. And one of the girls was like, "I can't do that. I'm having my eyebrows waxed." Like, you know, and it's like, so you know, like she's running out doing that in between. But so I guess we find balance in our culture and the way we operate as a team. As far as you're all grown-ups, is what I say to them. You're all grown-ups. You have to work this amount to get paid. You do that in your week. As long as you're connecting with your clients, you're connecting with me, you're doing a really good job, and we're all staying connected. Go and get your eyebrows waxed and go for a run and go to your Pilates class in the middle of the day. I don't mind that, but you have to be responsible for managing your time within my business and respect that. And do you know what? The girls always show up when I need them. Always. Like, you know, they're unreal. So we have created that balance, and it works really well. But I think a lot of people expect to find the balance way too early. And it's like, my thinking is, guys, if you want to be extraordinary, you've got to do a bit extra. Like, just don't wait for it all to come to you and be a magical, you know, entrepreneur that's making 100,000 a month, and it just to be like, you have to do nothing. That's like fantasy land, really. I just don't think, like, I don't know, maybe I'm in the wrong industry or wrong age, but I don't know if that happens. Does it happen?
I don't think it does. I look, and I think depending on the type of business you have, perhaps there is in the very, very early days, a lot of stuff you've got to get off the ground. And also you're one person in the early days. So I think perhaps it's magnified, you know, because you are, you know, creating the website yourself and out there selling and delivering whatever you're selling. And then as you grow, you can get people. So maybe there feels like there's a little bit of balance, but I kind of think if you're a business owner and you're willing to put yourself under that level of stress, once you get a team member, you're just thinking of the next idea that's going to take up all that time. So
I speak to a lot of women in business as well, like you would, you know, and one of the things I hear from them is, oh, it's just not working, and all the whinging. And it's like, are you doing this? Are you doing this? Oh no, I don't have time. It's like, is it a business or is it a hobby, guys?
Find time.
Let's get real. Like, how much money are you going to sink into a hobby that you're not going to commit every single breath to make successful? If you've done all that and it still doesn't work, then maybe you are doing something wrong and you need some support or coaching around it. But I hear so many women say to me, oh, it's just not working, but they're not putting the time and effort into them. It doesn't just come easily. You have to work it, especially now. Look at it. Look at how many people are in business and what your competition is these days. So
totally. And I was watching a masterclass the other day. American Express put it on, and it had the founder of Frank Body and the founder of Hero Packaging. And they were like, so they had the same kind of rant, right? Where people say, it's not working, I don't know what to do. And you're like, and they're like, oh no, but I don't want to use social media. Or they say, I don't want to do this. It's like, cool, but then you got to double down on something else. And the girls were saying, they're like, you know, people think that something like social media as a channel, you know, you just show up, you create your post, whatever. And they're like, we were like posting 5 times, you know, 10 times a day. One at the Frank Body, I can't remember what her name is, Jess. She was saying, you know, I would have my alarm set so that I was up before scheduling tools existed, posting at this time, so that, you know, when people were waking up in the US, they were seeing my post first. I'm like, that is just the level that some people are willing to go. And if you're not willing to go that hard, fine, but maybe you need to adjust your expectations on how quickly things might pan out.
I always say to my team, short-term pain for long-term gain. You got to put it in, keep putting it in, keep putting it in. And now Jess would be running her business very differently. Because she would have so much support, but the headache doesn't get less, it just becomes different.
Totally. Well, then you have team headaches,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
are even
and
more
all
fun.
the financial stuff and all the things, like it's, it's all relative, but I don't know, like I don't think, you can be in business and not want that. That's cool. But, where is your happy place and how are you going to get there? So if you're happy making a certain amount of money a month and you get that and you're like, yeah, this works for me and I can have a balanced lifestyle, then that's it. That's your happy place.
Yeah.
Do that. But don't not put in the effort and not get to where you want to be and then whinge and blame everybody else. I can't handle that.
No, I completely agree. I feel like that's just a good life philosophy. Even people who don't have businesses, if they're whinging and not putting in the effort, I'm like, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I got a bit ranty. I'm a mum.
No, but it's so true.
Yeah, I have 7 young women that work for me and they're awesome, but they're all like my daughters at some stage. I'm like, guys, like, get your shit together.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I love it. So, how have you found the dynamic change from when you were solo in business to now scaling up to a team of 7?
Yeah, well, it was used to be 13 and then, the big C hit and then we all changed and recalibrated. But I love having a team around me. It's definitely something I love. I've probably changed the way I work a bit. When we were previously, because I'm the stylist, for all the shoots and stuff we do, and I still am. And I've tried to get different ones in over the years, and it just doesn't quite, it doesn't translate into the new way I want the business run. But so I pulled myself out of styling and shooting so much. So we're selective on sort of what we shoot, and we work with great brands. So I can go in and out of that without it drawing all my attention now. So if I'm fully in styling, it makes it really difficult to run the rest of the business because, as much as the women that work for me are capable and extraordinary, you need to run your business. I need to be on every day and I need to be guiding. So I feel like I love having a team around me to work with. I love bouncing off the ideas, but I also, and I have a lot of them, but also I've learned to manage that flow with my team who are able to work together to actually make that stuff happen.
Yeah.
So I think you really, when you start managing a team, you really got to be aware of yourself and your behaviors and how you manage and how you delegate. I didn't like to delegate when I first started getting the team. I felt, but now I'm like, okay, just it's part of your job, guys. Like, is this what you want? Do you want this balance of lifestyle where you can go and get your eyebrows done or, whatever, go for lunch or Pilates and then do that? So I guess there's a payoff. So, and you've got to have mutual respect between your team and you. So everyone's got their own way and style of doing it, but I have a very high expectation of output and the quality of work that we produce. And you can see that by what we do produce. The girls are extraordinary at what they create. I love the way my team manage themselves amongst each other. Like, one of my favorite things to witness is when the girls are sitting together around my dining room table and they're talking about how to, work on the lifestyle edit for the next month, for our social strategy, because not only do we work for brands and create their strategy and roll out, we also manage the lifestyle edit exactly the same way. And we have a house that we manage down the South Coast that we have designed for photo shoots and things like that. So that's part of our client list as well. So the girls are constantly working on that to push and create. So that's what gets me excited, and seeing them come up with ideas to roll out. And you have to give people the space to be able to do who they are and work to the best that they can do, because that's not always the best that I can do. I'm good at other things, so I always make sure I do that and they do. Like if a girl comes to me and says, I can do this and this is my thing and I want to evolve my position into that, I'm like, great, how can we do that?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to evolve and work with people's strengths, because that's when you get the best out of them.
Yeah. And, somebody once said to me, you're not going to scale unless you do start to let things go.
Yeah.
You can't,
Yeah.
you can't be a single person, growing this giant. Well, and it depends, right? Your point before, where if you have a goal and that goal is to, make whatever income and have balance, fantastic. If you do want to really scale a business, I don't think you can do that yourself. So you do need to, as you say, let go, trust people, and find great people.
Yeah, but you have to enroll them in the possibility of creating what you're creating.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I always, do is get them excited about what my vision is. So if you can and do that and enroll people to come on as part of that journey, then they're going to, give it what they've got to actually see that, come to a head as well. But you have to be excited, and you have to hold people accountable, and you have to, push them along the journey. If you just give someone a list of things to do, they're just going to do the list of things to do.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
you have to push people to go above and beyond. Like, sometimes that is out of people's comfort zones to do that, but that's part of, growing. I always say to the girls that work for me, if you are not ready to look at yourself and own your shit, this is not the right position for you. Really. This is like a personal development workshop every single day, because I value communication, I value transparency, and I value really good work. So if that's what you are up for, come on board. But not everyone can handle that.
They really can't. And it's, interesting hiring people with that level of expectation as well. I find that really challenging,
Yes.
but I love the, what's the work-life balance at your organization like? I'm like, shit house.
Yes. Yeah.
No, but it is interesting. I feel like you have such a strong sense of vision, strong sense of culture, strong sense of expectations, which I think would help you actually attract the right people, set that expectation internally, and get the best work out of people.
Yeah, but I think it's taken some practice. There was a time when my business was growing really, really fast, and I needed to hire. I'd landed a big account. I didn't have enough people to do the output, and I had to hire really fast. And so I knew, and my instinct was like, no, but I needed to hire because I needed the manpower, and I did it because I thought, it'll be fine. Under my management, under my, guys, and
I'll make this work.
we can do this, but it didn't. It really didn't. It came back and it bit me on the ass, really, because there was two people that upset the culture of the way we operated so badly that it just imploded. It was heartbreaking for me, like, to see, firstly, that some young lady could come in and destroy another woman's, try, or just, based on her personality, and because it doesn't fit, upset, that so much. But, I learned so much from it. Like, it was the most awful time of my business life at the Lifestyle Edit. But I can't, like, the lessons I learned from, that is so invaluable. And I've taken that and really, worked on it and grown it again, a really strong team. So, it's not always, shiny and rainbow.
Happy days.
Yeah, no, it's hard work sometimes, because, that at that time I was really busy and I trusted my team to do all the things. There was just this thing happening in the background that I just wasn't aware of because I was busy, and it just upset so much stuff. And then when it imploded, it really did implode. Yeah. And then you just got to go, okay, how do we all get through this? And
yeah, how do we take a giant leap forward here? Oh my God.
So,
have you had that before, where you didn't trust your gut and shit hit the fan?
Yeah, it was with staff mainly. And occasionally you'll get a client that you go, they're not our ideal client, but you know, like we can do the work and we can do a really good job, and we can make a difference in their business, but they're probably not aligned in communication styles or just ethics, really. And we did it recently, and I tell you, it just goes to show again, it's just like it comes up to go, you know what, you should have trusted your instinct, the money wasn't really worth it.
Yeah.
And then you go, yeah. And then, but I managed it really differently this time. I was just really clear on, please don't speak to my staff that way. That's not how we operate here. We don't think you're aligned with us. Let's draw the line and you can move on and we'll move on. And that was it. But it takes a long time to be able to get to that stage, to be able to go, this is not working. It's like a relationship.
Yeah. Totally. And I think in the early days of business, you're like, I have to say yes to everything. You know, I've got this income goal or revenue goal or whatever it is. And if I say no to people, then how am I ever going to achieve that? But you're so right. Sometimes it's just not worth it.
No, not worth it. But you know, like you said before, we do attract, you know, very aligned businesses. You know, our client list at the moment, I'm just in love with. Like, I love everybody, and it's so nice to have that, to be able to work with clients who get you, who trust you, allow you to do what you do best, because we become an extension of their team so much that they rely on us to do stuff and be, you know, in response to what they need. So you have to have good communication. You can't take things personally, and you just have to get on and do the job. So if you're in a situation where you don't have matching communication styles, or someone's a little bit rude or aggressive in their communication, you know, it's unnecessary. I just think, is that necessary way of communicating? Probably not. Let's just not go there. And I just don't need it anymore. I'm too old for rubbish. Like, obviously I'll take the lessons, but I just don't need to be around people that, you know.
Well, and I mean, it is interesting. We talk about the fact that we perhaps don't have the balance, and we are obsessed with our businesses and hustling till the day we die.
Yes.
So then if you're putting in that much effort, because this is where I go, when you love your business, you kind of find joy in it. So yes, I work a lot, and yes, I'm hustling, and yes, I'm probably stressed a lot, but I love it. Like, I so love it that when you are tolerating those people that aren't the right fit, that's where it doesn't make sense. So that's for me where the balance is out of alignment. If you have the wrong customer, the wrong team, the wrong product that you're trying to push down people's throats, you know, that's where I think the hustle becomes the problem, when things aren't aligned.
Yeah. And I think you need to take time to actually work out, what does the ideal client look like as well. At the beginning of the year, we always sit down as a team and go through the strategy for the lifestyle edit and for Heidi Albertiri for the year. And it's like, you know, I come in with 5 million ideas, you know, because I've had some headspace to just be in my own space, and I smash the team, and they just literally put it into a working document, and we roll it out, and we make sense of it. But one of the things that we really focused on this year was, who are the people we want to be aligned with? Who speaks our language? Who, you know, gets what we do? Who are those people? And we have attracted, apart from this one particular client, and I did it because they were connected to someone that I really loved. So, you know, it's like that. And you know, but anyway, like, lesson learned again, right? So, you know, it made me step up in my communication to actually be really clear and not be bullied, actually, in a way that was like, you know what, that's not okay. And I got protective of my team, you know, so my team know that at any time I have their back, and I totally trust them. And I think that's important as well, you know, like the mama bear protecting her cubs. Like, my team work really hard. They might work unusual hours sometimes, or have that hybrid, you know, space, but we still do a bloody good job. So I get protective if anyone goes in there. I'm like, rah.
Good. I love that. And so, reflecting on many years in business, I mean, obviously we talked about things like not trusting your gut, having team members that might be a little bit challenging. What do you think? What do you think had, but I love how like through the whole story, you always say lessons. That was just a lesson that I learned, and another thing in the toolkit. What do you think has been like the biggest lesson in business that you kind of have taken away from all of the years?
All the years is a lot of years. I think, you know, as a person running a business, whether it's a guy or girl, you know, it doesn't matter. Women are pretty extraordinary in what they do with raising their children and running businesses and stuff as well, relationships. But I think our business life is such an extension of who we are day to day in ourselves. You know, so from a very young age, I didn't have a strong foundation. My family was a little bit, you know, not balanced.
That was very diplomatic.
Thank you. And so I was yearning for balance, and I was yearning for something more, and I've always wanted something more. And that's always been the driver for me personally. And what I discovered as I got older was that drive was also in me for my career. Now, I never thought, if you talk to the like guys I went to school with, they probably would say, oh, we expected you to have like 5 kids and a husband and be a housewife, because I never thought in a million years that I would be who I am today. I never thought I had it in me. So it was something that I discovered on the journey of unlocking who I was, what my skills were, what was I good at. Like, I am a stylist, and I think back to when I was a kid, rearranging the bathroom products in the bathroom, like the shampoos and conditioners and the perfumes, because that was my job. I had to clean the house. Right now, am I a good stylist because I learnt that when I was back then, or is that just in me and I've developed it over the years? And I think, you know, nurturing who I was all that time and not losing those core beliefs of like how I operate, I think that has gone a long way to actually develop me as a person and in my business life. So I guess my biggest lesson would be to don't stop evolving. I guess, like, just don't ever, like, obviously I relax and I'm very good at being chill, but I never stop wanting to evolve who I am and learn from what I've done, you know. And that, I guess for me, that's really in me. And I think people disconnect from who they are and what their core stuff is and how they operate from that human being like space, because there's so much that they want to be because they can see it on the outside happening around them. I want to be like that, or I want to do what she's doing. I want that type of business. If you just stop and go, what do I really want? What can I do? What am I good at? What makes me happy? Where do I want to, like, what can I do with that?
Yeah.
And I think people would be so much happier.
Yeah, that is a really interesting point. As you're speaking, I was just going in my mind, like, who am I? What do I want to be? Is that what I want? Is that the business I want? So it is really interesting process to take yourself through. And I do like that, the idea of evolution. So I'm a big believer in, you know, just because you did something yesterday doesn't mean you have to do it tomorrow. It doesn't matter if you are, you know, 20 or 80, it's your life is your choice. And I love looking at it as in an evolution, and, you know, always, you know, growing and building and reflecting on what it is you want and working towards that. I think that's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Well, I don't know where that came from. It just came out. But, you know, I think it's that
Perfect.
it's just like, I'm always questioning everything. Like, in my mind, it's like I probably have a bit of a checklist that I'm like, I question, but I think, like, because I just turned 50, right? So it's really interesting having turning 50. I'm a 50, like, holy crap. Like, I'm not 40. I'm 50. Oh my God. How did that happen? Right. So that in itself is like, God, I've just gone, I'm a grown-up lady. Like, you know, I might not always act like it, but in the world, people call me ma'am sometimes, you know. It's like, what? So
Yeah.
I think, just going through that like next level of my womanhood,
Mm,
going through menopause, going through
mm,
that change of life and my femininity and who I am as a woman, also
yeah.
questions like, what do I want to look like for the next 50 years? Like,
Yeah.
what does my life look like? Who do I want to be with? Where do I want to live? Like, who do I want to surround myself with? How am I going to get there? So I think for me, the questioning is always something that keeps me going.
Yeah. Do you have a process that you go through, or is that just like an inbuilt? Are you just innately questioning everything, or do you take yourself out for a wine, or do you
I meditate every day. I
uh,
meditate every morning. So I make sure I have time. If I don't do it in the morning, I usually do it in the morning because I'm awake so early. I have to fill in the hours somehow. So I usually do a meditation, and I, at the end of the day, I have quiet time. I really like quiet space to to just sit in my thoughts. So it could be, I run in the mornings and stuff, but that's just my time to make sure that I'm physical and taking care of my body so that I can be doing what I want to do for the next 40 years, right?
yeah.
So I'm always making sure I can be the best and sort of push that. So I obviously relax and chill out. I love it when it rains because it means I can kind of gives me permission to have a chill on the couch and watch something crap. But yeah, I feel like meditation has been extraordinary. I've been doing it since I was, probably 19. I first discovered it. And then that has evolved. And that has been the one thing that has been with me in my entire journey through all my ups and downs, through my childbirth, through labor, through the last few years. Anytime there's a big decision that needs to be made, I will sit in my meditation and just let it bubble to the surface. So yeah, I think that helps.
I love it because it's like the intentionality. I think sometimes we get ourselves into a bit of a tears around decisions we have to make, but we don't actually give ourselves the space to make them.
Totally. And you see it all the time, especially with women who are busy mums and partners and business owners, and they're like doing everything for everybody else. My son's 20 now. He's kind of super capable and busy. And so I have a lot of time in my home by myself. My partner travels for work. So my home is like really quiet. When the girls all go, it's like, oh my God, quiet. And then I might cook and have a glass of wine, and that in itself is just that quiet time of just, the questioning or whatever. But I do kind of have my own questions that I ask myself, like, that I check in. Oh yeah, like I shared them when we first started. It's like, what I'll always go, what's the situation? One of the questions I always ask myself is, am I making it mean something that it's not?
Shit, that's good. Yeah.
And as girls, like,
we always are.
We make meaning out of everything.
Yeah.
So like I did a course 100 years ago that was like, said humans are meaning making machines. And we will make meaning out of the smallest things and make it into this big thing. And it's actually not. It might be just that client doesn't want to work with us anymore. You don't need to make it mean anything. So I always say, am I making meaning out of it? Like, what am I making it mean? What is the reality? And how do they match up, or is there a gap? What am I not seeing in this? So I try and take myself out of it, because another thing I learned, someone said, we've probably all heard it, it's not personal, it's not business, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, that was a really valuable mantra that I play over in my head when I'm running my business, because my personal life, I'm very generous. In my business as well, I always go above and beyond. I expect the team to go above and beyond. I'll always do things because we can. And I'll, in my personal life, I'll always make sure the people around me are okay. I want to look after them. That's what I do. And so I have learned sometimes to draw the line in my business, and that's just business. This is what you get. This is what you paid for. We've given you lots of added value already. Don't take advantage. There's the line. So, and that's the business line. In personal, I'm like, a little bit softer, but in my business, I have become way tougher than I used to be.
I think it's important.
Yeah, people take advantage. They'll
Yeah,
just push and push and push and push. And then you're like, you get the shits, but you didn't create the boundary. They didn't know when to stop. They just kept going because you let them.
Totally. It's like you keep saying yes. Why would they stop asking?
Like a kid with like wanting a lolly or a toy. Like, you know, when you go to the shops and they're like, can I have that? Can I have that? It's like, no, create the boundary. So yeah, I guess, and you know, one of the other things I have learned, which I'm into the hustle as much as you, but I have learned that there is a time in the day where I put it aside. And I go, that's family time, or that's my partner time, or that's just my time. And I'm like, I'm a little bit non-negotiable about that now.
Yeah. Look, and I agree. And I think, you know, there are so many usable hours in the day that you can hustle and you can still have a really strong boundary around family or partner or personal, whatever it is. I mean, I know for me, you know, you mentioned running. I do really have to set aside an hour for Danny, where it is yoga or reading or a hot bath, or it is just not in front of the laptop or standing in the sun or something that like feeds my soul, because otherwise I'll crack it. Like I just know that about myself, that my mind races and I get, like you said, you know, thousands of ideas, all the things. If I don't consciously set aside that time and do it, because I know the days I know I see it happen all the time. I'll not do it for a few days and think I'm invincible. It's fine. And then I'll cry and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I haven't really stopped for a week. Maybe we have the afternoon off.
So funny, isn't it? So I run on the sand, right? So I'm in Melbourne and I'm like, there's no sand.
Oh no.
And like we've just been walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. So, you know, but yeah, it's like I'm like, I need the sand. So yeah, a bit the same. But yeah, I think, you know, look, my partner has his own business as well. So he just talks all the time. And now I'm like, nah, dinner, put your freaking phone away. We're doing life talk now. Like business talk can be like after. So because he's the same, like there's just bubble, 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 bubble. But, you know, it's in those magic little quiet times that stuff, you get ideas because you're giving your brain a rest and it can just actually wind down. So, you know, it's I wouldn't say it's balanced. It's just crazy. Like, and the life of, exactly. But, you know, there's certain personality types, I guess. You just got to know who you are. You said it before. You know how you operate. If you know how you operate, just do that. Like, because that's where the flow is.
Totally. And it's so, I love it because you and I, like, you know, completely different, but we've both figured out who we are and we make it work for us. Is I hate so I know you're an early riser. I'm not an early riser. But it's like, but I used to feel bad about that, but now I don't, because I'm like, no, I know what my thing is. So I think like it's great. You know, the whole idea of this podcast is to share experiences. Hopefully people will draw in something and find something that works for them, but it's not to make you feel bad, because I'm like, I can't get up at 4 a.m. and run. Can't do it. Have tried, have berated myself. Can't do it.
Like I said to you before, most people think I'm really annoying. Actually, 95% of people think I'm really annoying. But that's how I am. And, you know, consequently, I was a florist and I had to get up at 3 o'clock, which never bothered me. Like, you know, it worked for me. And I would work all day, but like at 8 o'clock, I'd be like shutting down because that's what I'd been up since 3 o'clock. So that works for me. So you just got to do you. Like in the world, just do you. Like if you do that, then like that's okay, because no one else has got that.
Exactly. Oh, I love it so much. I feel like we could talk like all day.
I know.
Lucky we don't have wine. Otherwise we would be
it would get more drawn out. And more
it would. Well, let's just wrap on one final piece of advice. Our audience are amazing women in business. Any one last piece of advice for a woman in business who perhaps is, in a moment of turmoil or struggle, anything that's gotten you through, challenging times?
Yeah. Music is really good. I have theme songs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And and when I'm running, I play my anthems. And
Yes.
I'm like, if I can do this, I can do anything. And it's never as bad as it feels. And if you just do one thing at a time, you're going to get closer to what you want to achieve. Like that's it, just baby steps. If you do one good thing a day, just do that. Like if that's all you can do, just do that. But just don't give up. Keep going.
You are incredible, Heidi. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on Spark TV. You're amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much. So lovely to talk to you. It was awesome.